Welcome to the Nathan.net. In today's video, we're going to cover Ansible roles. Roles let you automatically load related variables, files, tasks, handlers, and other Ansible artifacts based on known file structure. The known file structure is the key. Let's do an install of Apache and configuration using roles. The fastest way to create role structure is with the Galaxy command. So first I'm going to go to Ansible and then I'm going to go to roles. Roles can also be placed in your home directory .ansible/roles, and that's where Galaxy downloads them by default. And user share Ansible roles, Etsy Ansible roles, or other locations. Once we're in the Ansible roles directory, we could do the Ansible Galaxy init, and I'm going to call this one Apache. So this is the command, and then this is the directory structure and what we're going to call the role. Let's hit enter. So you can see that the role Apache was successfully created. Let's go through some of the files and directories that are created. The first one is defaults and the main.yml under that. And this would include the variables that you want to put in your role, and these would have the lowest priority and easily overridden by pretty much everything. Next on the list is files, and files are files that you put in there that you want to be deployed by the role. Handlers may be used within or outside the role. Where I use them is with notify and needing to reload or restart or rerun a command. Meta is metadata for the role, including role dependencies. Task is a list of all the tasks in the role, and that's kind of the main, well, in this case it's going to be the main structure. Templates are where we put the templates that we want to deploy. Test, this is for unit testing. It was originally added for Travis CI integration. I've never used the test directory. And you can see there's a test inventory here also. Vars, this is the other variable for the role. And you gotta wonder, why are there two variable directories? Well, defaults means it's the default variable for the role, and vars is like other variables for the role, and the priority for vars is higher than defaults, so anything you put in vars is going to overwrite defaults. If you look at the Ansible variable documentation, it has 21 places you can set or override a variable, and defaults is the lowest on the list, and it's the first, number one, and vars is 14th. And in that example, doing the -e command, which is the highest, that's 21 in the list. You definitely should look at the Ansible variable documentation. So now that we have the structure, we could add some tasks. You can see it creates this by default. So the first thing I want this to do is I want it to install Apache. So to install Apache, I'll use the Ansible built-in DNF command, and I'll just use that to make sure it's the latest. Then I'll add a space, and the next we need to do is we need to set up some traffic here. So for this, I'm going to tell firewall D, and if you notice, this is the Ansible built-in. This is Ansible POSIX, which you must have installed on your Ansible server before this would actually work. And you can install that with the Galaxy command also. Next thing is I want to show an example of pushing a file. This is kind of the cool thing about using the copy command to push a file. This is automatically going to look for it first in the files directory. So we'll put the index.html in there, and this is going to be the destination. I don't have to worry about permissions with this because this is just kind of a quick little test. And then with this, we'll do a Jinja template to actually configure http.conf, and we'll have it notify with a handler to restart Apache. So let's create some of these files and notifiers. First, we'll start with the handler. You can see we'll just edit here. And with this handler, what we'll have it do is we'll have it restart Apache. And the important thing about handlers is we just have to really know the name. So when we called the handler, we called it restart Apache, so that's what we have to name this as, and it's just restarting HTTPD. Then we need to create the file. Okay, I called this index.html, and we'll just put something really simple in here. We'll just put the word index. So what I've done, I have copied over the http.conf, and I've put the J2 extension on it, and then we'll open that up. And what I have done here is I have set, instead of just listen on port 80, to listen only on the IP address of that server. So this is an Ansible built-in that it could pull for templates. So now we have a role created with task handlers. We're doing files and templates. A lot of these are optional. You could do just tasks inside of a role. And there's also ways to include tasks and split those out separately in handlers if it includes. We want to keep this one very simple and show how to use it. Next, I'm going to go to my main Ansible directory. I'm going to create a playbook and call this role. We're going to call it Apache.yml. Keep it real simple. So first we're going to start with the host that I want this playbook to run on. And I could just put all and then limit, but I'm just going to, for this test, do just a 1. And I have a host created I called Apache test. So that's the host I'm going to use for this. Next I'm going to tell it to become. And I got to put a space there. I'm going to do true. And then roles. And it's that simple. First, I'm going to check this server. I have not logged into it yet. Okay, this is the first login. We could see that it does have a libng, but Apache is not installed. So now let's run this playbook that we just created. Now we're going to run the playbook that we created. And I'm passing the inventory because my KVM inventory is not my standard inventory on this. You can see that I have a issue here. I forgot the S. I have a typo. This is an easy fix. Let's try that again. Can ignore these because it's some of the KVM dynamic inventory stuff that I've showed in previous videos. So you can see it's actually installing Apache, it's permitting the firewalls, it's pushing the config file, and then it has the template and the handler, so it restarted it. So we should be able to log in and see that service running now. Let's look for listening. And we can see that it is listening on port 80 here, and it is bound to the IP address instead of the wildcard. Let's pull up that index and see if that displays properly. And you can see I got a forbidden. Let's see why we got that forbidden message. Oh, and you can see that the permissions are not correct. So I did have to put the permissions in that. This is an easy fix. So to fix that permission issue, I'll just put a group in on her. And just to be safe, And we could rerun this playbook now. And the only change should be from, yep, that file. And with a refresh, we now get the index file. So it's that easy. So why do we use roles? We use roles because they're easy to reuse and share. They're also easy to call from playbooks. Another thing is that you don't have to have the full path for things like files and templates. If you have them in those directories, it knows to look for them there. I've uploaded the Apache role I created to GitHub. And you can see I have a requirements.yml here, which I will have in my blog post, and it will be linked from the YouTube video. And what I have here is roles and the collections I use, because I used that POSIX one in there, and I've also used the libvirt. So to install this, we'd use the Ansible Galaxy command install on the requirements.yml. This will install everything, and it will put the roles in .ansible/roles by default. So let's do that. Now if you want to have your roles in a path, you could add the roles path, but it will not install the collections. So we could do that. This is actually installing that twice technically, and you could see that it does not install collections. So now we have this. And you can see here that this is the role I created. Inside this Apache directory, there is the playbook I used, Apache .yml, and you'd have to copy that into your Ansible directory to actually run it. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.